Okay, go.
Hi everyone, it's Paul here. We're going to be watching a documentary today about jazz. Jazz music, the history of it, where it came from. We're going to find out what part of the United States that it came from, some of the main instruments in jazz, what it means to swing, what it means to improvise, where the word improvise comes from. We're going to look at some different musicians that are going to explain how they play jazz. And the whole thing only goes for about 15 minutes. And then at the end, you're just going to answer 4 really easy questions. So I got this documentary off the internet and I've kind of cut off the bits that weren't interesting and try to make it as informative and interesting as possible. So I hope you enjoy it. This is the documentary on jazz right now.
But what is jazz? Where does it come from? Jazz music began in America over 100 years ago, and it grew quickly in the city of New Orleans. New Orleans was full of people from all over the world. It was a city famous for its music and also for its food. The most famous food in New Orleans is a rich stew called gumbo. Now, gumbo is a unique dish because it was made of ingredients from many different cultures. The French were among the first people from Europe to settle in New Orleans. These French settlers couldn't find all the ingredients for a fish stew they called bouillabaisse, and so they had to make up a new recipe, or improvise ingredients. The Native American Indians added a herb called sassafras. The slaves from West Africa added okra, and many other cultures added their own ingredients to this world-famous dish that got renamed gumbo. Jazz developed in a similar way. Jazz was a new musical recipe that took its ingredients from the different musical styles of the people living side by side in New Orleans. European, African, and American music all played a part. But when the famous jazz musicians Louis Armstrong and Sidney Bechet were born in New Orleans, there was no jazz music yet. There was also no electricity, no radio, no computers, and no telly. You couldn't even call anyone on a telephone. But in New Orleans, you could listen to all kinds of live music. In Congo Square, you could hear African drumming. And you could hear church music, even opera. And there were marching bands playing all year round, at weddings and funerals, on riverboats, or in the streets. While they were growing up, Sidney Bechet and Louis Armstrong would often follow these bands. But before long, they were playing in bands of their own. Sidney was playing clarinet in a band when he was 10, and little Louis began playing the cornet when he was 13. And by the time he was 15, he was leading the main line in a marching band right through his own neighborhood. Jazz music has a feeling or a flavor that we call swing. When the musicians play well together and all the ingredients are right, then jazz swings. Here is American jazz pianist Reginald Thomas showing how the classical music of Bach can swing.
Swing is much less a type of music than it is a way of expressing yourself in music. I remember the first Bach invention I ever had to play, and I sounded just like this when I played it. And my teacher would just look at me and shake her head. I didn't understand why, but the way that we play our rhythms is the way that we speak, or it's the way that we hear. So I was used to hearing this way versus hearing. Now, when I've learned to swing, I started to hear a different way. that swings.
Does it swing?
You mean swing?
I mean, does it swing?
Swing?
The music. Jazz music. Jazz music should swing. Really swing.
Swing can be fast, swing can be slow.
Swing is happy, swing can be sad.
Swing can be many different feelings.
Swing can make you dance.
It feels good when you're swinging. It feels good when you're singing swing. It feels good when you're dancing swing.
Swing actually makes you happy.
Swing is a very important element in jazz music. Without it, you cannot have jazz music. It's an essential feeling that when created, creates excitement, creates sadness, creates some kind of passion that allows you to express yourself. And if you don't express yourself, then of course you're not playing jazz.
Sounds good, but what is jazz? How does it swing?
Jazz is a style of music born about 100 years ago in an American city called New Orleans. This was a time when movies were still silent and music was played on phonographs. New Orleans was a city like London, full of people from around the world. All these different people living together helped make New Orleans famous for its food and for its music. And New Orleans was full of music. Musicians like Louis Armstrong played jazz on the riverboats that came in and out of New Orleans. And if you went out on the street, you might see and hear a marching band.
And we have what we call the snare drum. Most commonly we hear this in the marching band. These are the hi-hats. It will usually be one person hitting these together. Last but not least, we have what we call the bass drum. Usually in the parade you see someone walking with a big marching bass drum and they play it like this. So we have a foot pedal that plays the bass drum. So with swing coming out of New Orleans, all of these different sounds begin to come together.
Jazz music derived from the blues, and the blues was really prevalent during the time of slavery. The African Americans, in order to deal with slavery, would sing the blues. They would sing songs full of passion and emotion, and when they would sing these songs, it would help them feel better about the situation. And these songs were the beginnings of jazz music. Now the trumpet can sing the blues, but it's not the originator of singing the blues. The voice actually is. And what the trumpet does is it imitates the voice when it sings the blues.
So is it the drums? Do they swing?
Sure, drums swing. They're part of the rhythm section. And the bass swings with the drums.
Hi, my name's Graham Godfrey, and I play the jazz drum kit. My role in the jazz band is as part of the rhythm section. We're the part of the band that makes everything drive along.
What I love about jazz music is it's allowing me to play parts of the melody if they're playing. That's what I really love about jazz music. I'm no longer a background, I'm an integral part of what's really going on, telling the story.
Hello, my name is Yuri Galkin. I play double bass. A double bass is the biggest instrument from the string family. Bass keeps the rhythm. Rhythm section is a very important part in the jazz music because it makes you swing.
Now in jazz music, we have something called improvisation. Improvisation means we're going to make something up on the spot.
Improvisation is taken from the word improvise, which is taken from the word improve. And we all know what it means to improve. So if you take a melody in music, something like Happy Birthday, la da dee da da da, la da dee da dee da, and you wanted to improvise on it, well, I would change it to something like this. Bop bop dee da dum. Bing dum bum ba doo 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 beep beep dum bum bing bum. to you. So I'm just taking a simple melody and I'm trying to improve upon the melody, and it's easy, but most importantly, it's fun.
We improvise every day when we have a conversation with another person. We didn't plan what we were going to say. We simply said good morning, and someone responded, and a conversation took place. That's improvisation.
Scat singing, nonsense syllables, just kind of make up sounds. It sounds like horns, and you're singing the line. I first heard scat singing when I was 11 or 12 years old, and it was by one of the great scat singers and performers of all time, Louis Armstrong. And he would say things like, "Ree-bop-boo-dee, bo-do-doo-bee," and he sounded just like his instrument. And we're always taught in music that the instrument is an extension of the voice, and Louis Armstrong was a great example of that, one of the great scatters of all time. Spiddly-dap-boo-be-dee-bop-boo-lee-bom. Try it sometime, it's fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to scat some swing? Are you ready to scat some swing? You know about Hey Pete, let's eat more meat? Everybody say, hey Pete, let's eat more meat. That's right, and then we're gonna scat. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. Hey Pete, let's eat more meat. Come on with me. Hey Pete, let's eat more meat. Then it goes, 'cause the meat from the Texas cow is cheap. More meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. Do that with me. More meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. 'Cause steak from the Texas cow is sweet. Come on with me this time. Hey Pete, let's eat more meat. Do it again, come on. Hey Pete, let's eat more meat. 'Cause the meat from Texas cow is cheap. Then it's more meat, more meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. Come on now. More meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. 'Cause steak from the Texas cow is sweet. Spop, lop, doo, bop, stop, do it. Scoot-a-doo, boo-yah, scoop-doo-wah. Where you are. Oh, y'all sound kind of good. I think we're gonna get a bit harder than that. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, try this on. Ow! Skip that, skip it up, skip the box, oh, step, oh, go, wah, wah. Come on, hey Pete, let's eat more meat. Come on again. Hey Pete, let's eat more meat. 'Cause the meat from the Texas cow is cheap. More meat, more meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. Come on now, let me hear it. More meat. Hey Pete, let's eat. 'Cause the steak from the Texas cow was sweet. Now y'all scatting some swing.
Now I'm hungry. You got anything backstage?
No. Not even a drumstick.
Oh well. What about a piano?
You want to eat a piano? You are hungry.
No, I mean, does it swing?
Sure, it swings. The piano is part of the rhythm section with bass and drums.
My name is Reginald Thomas, and I play the piano. Now, the piano can be used in jazz in many different ways. It can be a solo instrument that allows me to play the melody and accompany myself all at the same time. The piano can also be an accompaniment instrument, so that if someone else is playing the melody, I can simply accompany them. We do that a lot of times with accompanying the voice. Look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree.
My name is Pete Edwards. I'm a jazz musician. Every jazz musician has their own sound, their own way of expressing themselves. Jazz music is really important that you realize it's a language.
Now, I play jazz music, and jazz music is a language.
We're all speaking to each other.
And when the trumpet plays, the drums may respond. The bass player might say, no, I also have something to say. So we're always talking to each other.
And we're all listening to each other, so it's like a team.
One of the ways that we communicate in jazz music is through call and response. I may play something, and someone else will play it back, or simply answer what I asked. Maybe something like this. Alvin?
Jazz is a language that allows you to tell a story in many ways without words, sometimes using words, but through music. The way it tells the story is mostly through emotions and feelings.
The way that we play our rhythms is the way that we speak. Swing is rhythm brought to life, or we can think of it as life brought to rhythm. That's swings.
Okay. So that was the documentary. I hope that you learnt some things about it. I recommend looking up some of these musicians, like particularly Louis Armstrong. He's like one of the most famous jazz musicians of all time. You would have seen him a few times in the video playing trumpet. So if you want to look a little bit more into some of the people that play jazz, either just do a search for jazz on the internet or look up someone like Louis Armstrong on YouTube. There could be some good videos of him playing. And just to finish off, we're just going to answer these 4 questions. So I'm just going to put the questions up on the screen. You can pause it and just fill in the answers on a piece of paper. And that is it for this week. I hope everyone's well, and it looks like I'll see you again pretty soon, in about 4 weeks or something like that, 4 or 5 weeks. Don't know, but take care. See ya.